we believe too much in surrender, I find passivity. I find a lack of empowerment. I find a floaty, airy, ungrounded beingness. When they don't get the concept of co-creation. That the universe is a mirror, a unified field that is just waiting for our input to mirror back in our reality. What are you going to put on the mirror? What are you going to ask to be mirrored back for you? Some say that's not very spiritual. You shouldn't want, you shouldn't desire. But like I said before, in the very first teaching on this, at the base of all our desires is to be happy. I don't think that's unspiritual. But many of us have been brought up in cultures and spiritual traditions, as I was, that there was a lot of emphasis on not havingness being spiritual. Not having desires being more spiritual. Not wanting or praying for things being more spiritual. And so I had to overcome a lot of what was underneath that belief was a lot of limit and lack. Not really a true understanding of the universe that wants to play with me at the co-creator table, saying, how do you want to play now? What do you want to call forth now? I now live in that experience more and more and more and more. And I'm very surrendered. I let go as soon as I think of it. I had a thought a couple months ago, literally it came and went. I thought, I've got the Buddha up front, I've got Lakshmi in the garden. I kind of want Divine Mother, a different form, more like Mother Mary maybe. I don't know. And it was gone, but it was a really heartfelt, I really feel like I would love that. Well, we went on our busy way. We went out to get these Chinese lanterns, which I've been wanting for 5 years. The guy was never open when I went, or didn't have them or something. We over the past bunch of 5, yeah. Don't you know, we go to pick them up one day, and I find this massive Kuan Yin at a price that was more affordable than anything I'd ever seen. She came home with us. So I literally had the thought, it was a very clear, strong, wouldn't this be cool if? And then I found her.
You dialed the right number.
But I also let it go. I wasn't shopping for her. I wasn't fussing on how it's going to happen. So Bliss is sort of like that as well. You can set the stage. You keep setting the stage. You lay out the dinner. And I will give you 100 recipes over the weekend, right? That will get you to that table. But when the dinner arrives exactly, I can't tell you.
And sometimes it might even be there waiting for you and you don't want to eat.
Or you're looking out the window and not seeing somebody just brought you a beautiful meal. It's right here. That happened to a woman. I was teaching animal communication. And I gave them an exercise to go out in nature, connect with anything. Tree, sky, butterfly, anything that floated their boat. And I gave them 15 minutes, which I thought was all they could pretty much handle at that point. Maybe 20 minutes. Well, this one woman came back an hour later. And there was no real way there was only a small place to be. So everyone else came in and I thought, wow, she must be having quite the experience. Well, she finally comes in and we're all waiting to hear. Everybody else shared what happened. We're like, what happened? She said, I sat under a tree. And we're like, come on. She's like, that tree didn't say a thing to me. She sounded really peeved. And I said, but it was 15 minutes and you stayed out 3 times as long, whatever that is. An hour. What happened? She said, well, I was in total peace. But I couldn't get a word out of that tree. So, my dear ones, if you find yourself going to total peace, that's like you've arrived. Okay? You don't need all the bells and whistles and the angel wings and all that.
That's
Just
the Atman.
hang out there. Don't say, I'm just getting peace, that one's getting a beautiful rainbow color and I'm not, you know. Yeah, so sometimes we don't see the buffet that's laid out for us. It's so funny. Anyone else have an experience of setting up this first part of our central alignment and calling in our soul? If you didn't experience anything, just hang in there. We're just getting started. The very first experience, actually, it was that same abundance workshop, 3 days. There were all these things that we were guided to do. At one point, we were supposed to see the black light, then the red light, then the blue light, then the white light, then the gold, and I saw bupkis. I mean, I was getting bupkis. I was sitting in lotus for so long, I was numb from the waist down. Nothing happened for 3 days for me. Nothing. And I was beyond frustrated. I felt like I totally missed out. It didn't happen until I got home. I ended up going into this amazing space where I was doing all this spontaneous yoga that I have never been able to do again, by the way, like headstands and crazy stuff. And then all the lights and all the guided meditations, they happen, but not in time, not when. So be patient with yourself and your process, and know that we're stirring the pot here. We're giving you all kinds of ways to begin to raise your frequency, okay? I chose everything that we do today because many students have entered a really high state from these techniques. That's what gave me the encouragement to say I can teach a Bliss retreat. Right, Orgina? I could do it long distance. I could do it in 5 minutes. And these classic Bliss states were happening for people with many of the things I'm going to share with you this weekend. So I decided, well, why not just put them all in one and really go for it? Alrighty. Just want to say thank you to the elements. It was freezing last night and the night before for Florida. We'd be very cold right now sitting out here. Went down to the 40s after being summer weather. So it turned around beautifully. There's one more thing I would like to do this evening with you. Any questions so far before we move on? Please know that if something does not make sense, I'm using a lot of terminology, I'm sharing a lot of tools with you in a quick time. This is your retreat, so we have a really nice, intimate, small group, so you can ask, okay? You can ask for more clarification or anything, all right? So let's come back into our alignment. You'll notice as we go, it gets easier, quicker. I ground in the beginning when I was revisiting grounding. Like I said, it would take me, grounding and releasing would take me anywhere from 5 minutes to 15 to 20. Then I was finding that I had to ground 20 times a day or more. I was very airy. I was very much in the etheric realm as a healer and a spiritual channel and such. And being present in my body was a challenge early on. So I had to really work it. So I'm not exaggerating, 20 to 25 times a day, I would check on my grounding and have to reset and reset and reset. Do I have to do that anymore? No. It's now my default. Does that make sense? It's my new normal. After a time, these energy alchemy tools, they'll become your new normal if you play with them. I don't even say practice them because it sounds like homework, but play with them. Play with them and see where they take you. So when I revisited grounding, for instance, after one of my mentors said it was his favorite of all, I was like, you gotta be kidding, it's so simple, that's the one you would keep if you had to give them all up. I started playing with it, and I found myself, I was watering a pot, and I was rushing the water. Do you ever find yourself in your day, you're just, nothing goes fast enough. You're pushing through. So I'm rushing. Of course, I can't rush the water coming out of the hose like crazy, but that's what I was doing in my mind. And I said, okay, chill. You're going to water. It takes what it takes. You might as well enjoy it and be present. So I played with grounding out in the garden while I was watering. And I found that my first chakra had become so sensitive that I could feel into the plants and tell how much water they needed and when they were full. I was feeling into Mother Earth. I was feeling into the flow in each plant. This is how sensitive you can become with just one tool if you explore it. I'm sure there's many other things I could say about it, but that was pretty stunning to me. That ability to sense in my body what's going on with another is what my whole healing practice is based on. It's an incredible gift. I had never applied it to plants until that moment. So each one of these tools, you can take it and really expand on it.
Bliss.